Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of The Hour of Nick, a new monthly podcast where we talk about all things related to gaming, what's currently in the news of gaming, our current thoughts about what's going on with it, and anything else we feel appropriate to discuss at any given time. So yeah, this should be a lot of fun, and looking forward to doing this. And with me, I currently have three special guests joining me along with this. They are, in no particular order, Astro Montana.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Toad in Wonderland.
Howdy, hey-ho.
And, of course, my, I guess you could say, second in command, who you see very often in my videos, and is definitely, I'd say, one of my best friends here on Discord, Mark Leota.
Hey, Mario!
So, yeah. Some of you guys might be aware that a little over a week ago, actually almost 2 weeks ago by the time this gets uploaded, we saw the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2. And there's definitely some things I wanted to say about it. I know Mark here is really excited for it especially. And I definitely think it's going to be great to start seeing what the next generation of gaming is going to look like. So I'm excited to go ahead and do this and discuss certain things about it. So first of all, before we discuss like anything particular about the trailer itself, the first topic of discussion I kind of want to get through here is our thoughts on the reveal itself, because this was definitely quite a unique way to reveal the console, if I do say so myself. You know, obviously we've seen Nintendo and other game companies reveal systems in various different ways, various different creative methods, but with this sudden just like shadow drop and them just kind of showing the controller and stuff, it was very unusual. But I also really liked it as well. So I'll go ahead and let some my guests here take away and say what they thought about the reveal itself.
Yeah, I have an idea, but I'll let other people see first.
But yeah, personally, I thought it was pretty fun. You know, like I said, I liked the unusual way they did it. And even though we didn't really see much about it other than a new controller, it still was definitely enough time maybe to go, oh yeah, this is a new console, baby. And even just like some of the things about it, like seeing the fact that now that we know for sure the new controller is going to be a lot bigger, and even just like the graphics of the particular game they showed later on, it all just looks so exciting. You know, it's very much the kind of approach where it's like, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But honestly, I think after Nintendo's made a success with the Switch, that's definitely the right way to go for sure. You don't want to go too like off the walls with it.
Kudos to their animation team, because that was an incredibly fun intro for how they showed like a very like fun, interactive, dynamic way of showing the actual console with the different alterations, changes, even like showing that it's like an off black kind of like color finish that's being done on the system itself, and just the things like the kickstand and the Joy-Cons being bigger. Because for me personally, the Joy-Cons was probably one of the biggest things for me as well, for what I got out of it, because of how with the original Switch, I just never really liked to use the Joy-Cons because I thought they were too tiny. Whereas here, it doesn't seem like that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. And as someone who has like basically almost all their Joy-Cons to the point where like almost all of them are like drifting now, I definitely am glad to see that it looks like they're taking like a new approach to these Joy-Cons and that they're kind of like Hall effect now, from what I've heard.
Okay, so I have like a controversial opinion. Well, I don't know how controversial it is, but I feel like that trailer was kind of forced, if you know what I mean. If you don't, I'm going to explain it real quick. It seemed like it was kind of hastily put together. Well, I do like the trailer. I like the little animation they did with the new Switch was cool. I feel like they didn't hype it up well enough. But it's a big console reveal. You think they might want to at least say something the day before. But I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like due to all the leaks, Nintendo was kind of forced to at least put something out there. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It didn't feel like a fully complete trailer for a whole new brand system, you know?
Yeah, I can definitely understand that, and I can kind of agree to an extent. It kind of did feel like Nintendo was kind of forced to release it because of the leaks and stuff. But I mean, I still was very much excited about it, though.
No, I'm definitely excited about it. Definitely what I'm saying. I just feel like Nintendo wanted to do a little bit more, you know? I feel like they wanted to put more into that, but didn't have the time to.
It could also just be because it was like a teaser more so than like a full blown, like, here's what we got cooked up fully for you, and like here's the data will be available, kind of thing. That could be part of it, because maybe they're just not ready to release all the ammunition on what this is going to offer.
Yeah, they could be saving it for the Direct 2. That is a point.
That's kind of what my impression was. Or yeah, because there is a Direct coming up April 2nd, which I'm even a little worried about them choosing that date just because of it being so close to April Fool's Day, and just the concern of like, oh, here's this leaked information, and being so close to that particular day, April Fool's, that's just gonna make it even more challenging to be like, what's real and what isn't.
Yeah, in fact, shout out to Connor Conjure, by the way, because he kind of joked about this too. It's gonna be one of those things where I imagine like on April Fool's Day, because it's like literally the day before to do like their big, I guess like full reveal of the console. There's probably gonna be like a bunch of fake trailers, basically pretending like it's the real Switch 2 or whatever.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see a lot of those April 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of fake trailers, there was that one that you pointed out to me, Nick, where you saw where near the end, like it showed like Peach asking Mario to smell something. Like, I was like, really?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's stuff like that gets put all the time up on YouTube, and I admit that when I was a lot younger, I used to be kind of bad at falling for those kind of things, but definitely as an adult, I can definitely see like telltale signs a lot more clearly. I do remember still seeing this funny fake Switch trailer though, like a long time ago, where somebody was like, pretending to be Nintendo and saying like, they were gonna bring back classic games like Superman 64 and Batman Dark Tomorrow. All such amazing classics like those games.
Oh yeah. In terms of the actual reveal trailer that went out, I mean, could it have been more? I mean, granted, it wasn't quite on the same excitement level as the Switch 1 reveal trailer, but for something that's basically just a slightly bigger version of the original console, it didn't really need to be anything fancy. Just short, sweet, and to the point. Plus, the Mario Kart tease as an added bonus was also pretty much the cherry on top there.
Oh yeah.
We did not see that comment.
Oh yeah, for sure. If Mario Kart 9 alone didn't sell me on the console, then definitely for sure announcing the backwards compatibility of it definitely did, because that's always something that's really nice to have in a console. I know that's obviously not everybody's feature, not the thing everybody's into and stuff, but definitely for me, especially as someone who collects a lot of game consoles, the ability to play your old systems on a brand new device of having to plug in multiple of them, that really is like such a nice and convenient feature for sure.
Yeah, not to mention how many people, more than likely have a Switch who are going to be upgrading to this, because, I mean, let's face it, the Switch sold so much, so a lot of people are going to still want to have, something to be able to conveniently play what they already have on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And plus another thing, like, backwards compatibility is like something that PlayStation's always had, like, with their systems. Where, like, with PS2, you could play PS1, PS3, you could play PS2, and so on.
Only in the launch, though, for the PS3. You couldn't do it, like, after, I think, like, November of 2007.
Yeah, it was initial release models after that. Like, it was almost like the soft launch models, basically. But, yeah, there was a certain era where that, unfortunately, got removed.
Yeah, but that was still a very nice feature, though, regardless.
And also another thing I just wanted to point out too was just we're still getting physical games, so that's a nice nod as well, because I know that's kind of with some of the other consoles where it seems like they're kind of wanting to phase that out, as far as the choice between physical and digital.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, Sony and Microsoft are trying to like more push their customers toward buying games digitally, which I guess is convenient convenient in the fact that you don't really need to like have shelf space. The only problem though is that they can revoke the license for that at any time. So, and if they do that, then that's basically a waste of money.
Yeah, but also that it's going to screw over a lot of third-party sales like GameStop, who rely on a lot of physical media.
Exactly. So I guess it's a good thing Nintendo is still offering that option, like with physical cartridges, because I already know for a fact that once I get my hands on it, I'm probably still going to prefer to get a lot of my games in as physical versions.
Yeah, when it comes to consoles, I am a physical game collector. It's just the true gamer at heart for me.
Yeah, same here. Even as somebody who buys a lot of games digitally nowadays myself, I still can't deny that physical games in a lot of ways are just objectively a lot better. I even just like the feeling of just being able to like own your games and just have them in your hand. There's something just about that like small feeling that will just never go away for me. It feels like so nice and personal, like you actually own the games, and it is kind of a shame that Sony and Microsoft are kind of seemingly doing away with that these days in favor of like a more like digital space. So I definitely am glad, like you guys said, that they are sticking with physical media for the new console, and that Nintendo's not giving up on that. But with that out of the way, with that first topic discussion, another thing I kind of want to talk about too, and we kind of already mentioned it a little bit here, is the new Mario Kart game, because we finally got our first sneak peek look at Mario Kart 9 for the new console, and I gotta say, I definitely am incredibly excited. Like, even though we literally only saw a few seconds of the game, if that, it still just looks incredible. I really love the features it seems like the game has, like the ability for 24 people to race. Even just the visuals of it look really cool to me as well. Like, I know a lot of people are complaining about DK's new design, and I know even Mark himself is not really that crazy about the design. But I still think, honestly, it looks pretty awesome. And it definitely got me already really hyped for the new console right away, even without the backwards compatibility announcement.
I gotta say, I love the floofy DK.
Yeah.
I just like his look. I'm sorry. But I do. I just never was the biggest fan of Donkey Kong in general for years. I don't know, he just never was one of the main characters that ever appealed to me, but there's just something about how he has this new floofy look to him that just is more eye-pleasing to me, I guess.
The eyes on his new look, from what I saw, when I first saw it, kind of looked a little bit creepy in my opinion.
I'm actually pulling that up now so I can see it again myself, but I don't know if it was to me per se, but it kind of reminded me more so of his look from the Mario movie.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going for. I think some of the models they showed are based off their Mario movie designs.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is that based on what I saw, it kind of looks like they're taking inspiration from the Mario movie to create the character designs for the new console, which honestly, I think is pretty cool. I get that people are nostalgic for the in-universe characters looks, and that's fine. But even still, it is kind of also nice to see Nintendo kind of like venturing out into like acknowledging like the other properties they have as well.
And which actually gets me to my next point. Once I saw that tease, I was like, for Mario Kart 9, I'm like, it's about time we got a new Mario Kart. Because, I mean, nothing wrong with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because I love that game to death. Honestly, Nintendo's been relying on that game, far too long, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Basically, summing it up, it's kind of like the house guest that doesn't want to leave.
That's actually a pretty good analogy. Yeah, and I have kind of said for a while now that Mario Kart basically kind of turned into, Rockstar's own GTA 5 for a while because, even though that is a great game, and even though I kind of get why they said to re-release it, seeing as how the Wii U sold poorly and stuff, at the same time, the fact that it basically let us without a brand new Mario Kart game, or just a true new Mario Kart game for 10 years plus really was a bummer. And so definitely the fact that even just to know we're finally getting a new one really is just a great feeling because it really has just been way too long since we had a proper new Mario Kart sequel.
I have to agree with the sentiment that goes behind that too, but going back to what you were even saying, as far as the sales with the Wii U, I really do feel, with the direction the Switch soared off in, they wanted to capitalize on that opportunity so that, a game that sold okay I mean, as far as the Wii U's concerned, it still did decent for that console. But as far as total numbers are concerned, because all these businesses are driven by numbers, they wanted to go ahead and capitalize on that opportunity to get to more of an audience who was going to be buying the game, and it's just it's a pretty effective marketing technique for companies to take what's already been made if the content's already good. And in fairness, they did expand on it. I mean, they had pretty much a whole new game essentially added with the DLC that was put in it. But it's time. We do need to move on.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm even saying that as somebody who personally loved the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC and was so happy about the fact that the game basically like doubled in tracks. Like that was definitely really nice, and I'm definitely glad they did that and made the game even bigger. But at a certain point, it's still like you still want a brand new game for sure.
I guess I'm just wondering what new gimmicks might be introduced in this one. And do we even know if it's going to be called 9?
Yeah, I know there's like some people that. I know there's like some people that are kind of like speculating that it's going to be called like Mario Kart X or something because of the fact that they technically argue that Mario Kart 2 was the ninth game, but I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. There's definitely a chance it might not be called Mario Kart 9 exactly. It could just be called something else that we don't know yet. But definitely for sure, I definitely do think the game is probably. I do think Mario Kart 9 is probably the safe bet for now. But then again, you never really know with Nintendo.
I mean, I know a lot of the Nintendo-based focused YouTubers like Swiftjar, Botox Games, or whatever. Like, they're all referring to it right now as Mario Kart 9 as a placeholder. I guess until Nintendo reveals the official name. I mean, for all I know, it could be something different. But then again, like when the Switch 2 rumors first started, like I was basically referring to the console as that name as a placeholder until the real name was announced, and then lo and behold, the actual name turned out to be Switch 2.
Yep. I mean, definitely in all fairness, though, I definitely don't think there was really much else they were going to call it besides Switch 2. I mean, I guess something like Super Nintendo Switch was a possibility, but Switch 2 I feel like was always kind of like the obvious bet.
We could still call it the
unlike unlike the Wii to Wii U transition, like the Switch 2 name is it makes it very clear to the audience that it is a successor system and not just some sort of expensive add-on to your original console.
Exactly, and that's something else I'll quickly address as well because I have seen some people kind of already trying to make that comparison that saying that the Switch 2 is just the next Wii U. I fundamentally disagree with that because the thing is that even though it is true that just like this the Wii U, the Switch 2 follows in the predecessor in terms of its naming, at least with the Switch 2 you can clearly tell that it's a brand new console and that it's not just some sort of like new game that Nintendo is trying to do with their current one. Plus, the other thing too is that I feel like at least this time it seems like there's a lot of people that are still like interested in the Switch and are still going to buy the console. Whereas by the time the Wii U came out, and I'm saying this as someone who loves the Wii personally, there are a lot of people who just didn't care for the original Wii anymore by the time they announced the Wii U, and so like Nintendo basically already kind of lost their casual gaming market, and so at least compared to that time, I feel like there's not going to be like as much confusion this time around for sure in that regard.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to be confused anywhere near as much as they were with the Wii U because in this case, the 2 is just more understandable than U. And it's a very straightforward name, and it does good on showing, like, here's the improvements on this new console itself that's going to serve their clientele. And
like, the way I look at it, if the numerical order system works for Sony with the PlayStation, then it can work for Nintendo with the Nintendo Switch line.
Yeah.
And I feel it works in this case,
Yeah, exactly.
For those reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because it's pretty dang clear that that the new console is basically just like a bigger, more powerful Switch. It's not like there's anything that necessarily about it that's like that separates it too much from the original Switch. Beyond that,
people do still like having their games on the go. So
yeah, exactly.
What better way to do it? But then with the way that this particular, even with the regular Switch is set up so that you can play it on on the TV at home, on the couch or in bed, or if you want to take it with you on the go when you're visiting someone, there you have it.
Yep. Like I said, it's a proven formula that works, and it is true the common saying that people sometimes use, which is, of course, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nintendo's definitely found a niche that kind of works out pretty well, and so it definitely made sense that we're going to continue on with that with the next generation machine. But yeah, overall though, when it comes to Mario Kart 9, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm thinking that's going to be a really great game for sure, and I especially cannot wait to play it online too. Just the thought of having 24 players competing all of each other, oh man, that is going to be insane.
Yeah, like I know I said this like in one of my own like videos I did earlier this month on my side, but 24. I'll bring it up again here. 24-player Mario Kart is going to be frantic.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
It's gonna definitely add more dimension of fun and like chaos, but enjoyable chaos.
Yeah, with that many players at once, I can already imagine like blue shells coming in all sorts of directions, like every 5 seconds. That is gonna get annoying real fast, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it'll probably get annoying, but it'll also be really fun too at the same time. It'll definitely be, it'll definitely be quite chaotic to say the least.
It makes me wonder though if they gotta have some kind of additional gimmick that might be behind the 24 racers as well. Like, I feel there's more that just, again, this is a teaser, so there's got to be more that's kind of like hidden under the radar that we don't know about yet.
Yep, and that actually kind of leads me perfectly well into the next topic here. And admittedly, a couple of my questions were kind of already shown a little bit in the reveal, but I'm still kind of a bit more curious about them as to like what they will entail and stuff. And so the next thing I want to discuss here is like any remaining questions we still have about the Switch 2 before Nintendo like officially fully unveils it in April, because even though we had the reveal trailer and stuff, there's still definitely some stuff about it that we're probably going to be curious about. And so there are some questions I do have, namely just like for example, in regards to like that pointer functionality that they showed, a lot of people are speculating that's basically going to be like the Switch 2's computer mice, for lack of a better word, like, where you use it like a mice. And I definitely think that'd be really cool, but it also kind of makes me wonder, like, is that supposed to signify another thing, too? Like, are they going to have us, like, do some kind of, like, a thing with the UI with that? Is that going to be, like, some kind of gimmick we use for, like, certain games? Is it going to be, like, used to make, certain games that we've also played in the past that work better on it? I have no idea in particular, but either way, it definitely does excite me for sure.
I mean, we know it's a more powerful system than the original Switch. That's a given. What we don't know, though, is exactly how much more powerful it's going to be.
Yep. And obviously there's been like some specs that have supposedly been leaked. I definitely do kind of wonder about some of them though. Like, is it going to be true that the console's going to have like about, like 200 something gigabytes of onboard storage? Is it going to be true that it's going to be at least about, that there's going to be like 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 or whatever it's called? I definitely am kind of curious like what the exact specs of the things are going to be. Some people are saying it's going to be around like the same level of power as the Xbox One and PS4. Some people are saying it's going to be slightly more powerful than them. It's difficult to say for certain, but it'll definitely be nice to see if Nintendo will answer that the closer we get to the console's like full on reveal.
Higher the power of the specs, the more it'll cost. That is the thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so there are some people that are speculating that it's probably going to be at least $100 more than the original Switch, which I can definitely see. But then again, you never really know, because Nintendo does kind of like to keep their consoles at a certain price point for casuals.
And I guess something else that kind of crossed my mind as well is how are Amiibo going to be still playing a role moving forward?
That is actually a pretty good question. My guess is that they're probably gonna try to do it this thing, or like they kind of like have some like additional accessories like allow you to use Amiibo on the Switch 2. What those accessories would be exactly, I don't quite know. Or maybe they could even just do this thing where like because they did mention also that some Switch 1 games might not be fully compatible with the Switch 2, so it's also possible that like for some of those for like the very few games that where Amiibo was like a large focus, they may not be playable on it. I don't know exactly, but either way, I kind of do hope they actually do something substantial with it for sure, especially because there are definitely some people out there with decently sized Amiibo collections.
Yeah, and like, because with the Switch right now, the right Joy-Con or even just the Pro Controller, they have the IR sensor for picking up the data from the Amiibo right now. So it just makes me wonder, is that also going to be used for tapping Amiibo? You know, like I said, on the Switch 2 moving forward, or is it going to be something where Amiibo just become defunct?
Yep. And to that, and I also kind of wonder if they're also gonna allow some kind of like forward compatibility, where like we can where like we can use like old Switch One Pro controllers and Joy Cons with the new console. They gave this, and that doesn't Nintendo. That honestly would not surprise me because they have supported their past controllers a lot for their most recent systems. But it still is definitely interesting to take note of for sure.
Switch 1 Pro controllers, I'm pretty sure will work with the Switch 2, but I highly doubt that the Pro controllers for Switch 2 would be compatible with Switch 1.
Oh yeah.
I don't think anything's going to work backwards in that capacity.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that. Yeah. Also, welcome back, Astro. But yeah, in regards to that, I agree. I don't think like any Switch 2 controllers will be compatible with the current Switch, but I can definitely see Switch 1 controllers working with the new console for sure, since Nintendo is pretty good about supporting their legacy software and hardware in that regard.
And I guess the more that we even talked about too, going back to the Amiibo for just a short bit, I mean, the fact that the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible with Switch 1 games, that almost makes me feel like they are going to still potentially support Amiibo as well, just knowing that little detail alone. Because there's still a good handful of first-party games that support the Amiibo that were on the Switch, so if it's going to be backwards compatible, I feel like it's going to carry along with it.
Yeah, I do agree they probably will have Amiibo support, but I feel like Nintendo is slowly phasing that out.
Yeah, and that's what we're not entirely sure on yet, because, with, like I had said earlier, the right Joy-Con and the Pro Controller using the IR sensor, I just don't know if that's, again, carrying over in the Switch 2 or not.
Yep. That's definitely something for sure we'll have to find out soon. And as far as like other things, like I'm sure like in terms of like how Switch Online works now, I'm sure it's probably going to be very similar on the Switch 2. My only I'm sure even regardless with the retro games and stuff, I'm sure they're going to carry over like the same library. My main question is just how is the online and Wi-Fi in general going to be on the new console? Is it going to be like the same as we've seen previous, or is Nintendo going to like actually do like a bigger infrastructure with it, or if are they going to give us like even a cleaner eShop? Obviously, time will tell in that regard, but I kind of want to see at least a cleaner eShop than the current Switch, because that's definitely one of the very few complaints I have about the Switch now as it currently stands, is the fact that the eShop is a complete and utter fucking mess.
Yeah, I have a Windows computer that was faster than that.
It's also very laggy.
Why, Mark?
I was saying, yeah, it's also very laggy.
Yes, very laggy. It's 2024. There's no excuse for that. It's 2025 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's quite literally like a digital wasteland on the eShop on the current Switch.
Yeah, like I think part of it might have to do with like the whole like clusterfuck of titles that are available on the eShop.
Well, that and the fact that Nintendo never really did like that major like updates to it as well. So it still is kind of using like the same basic system it was back in 2017, and frankly, it just can't keep up. Like I've even had days sometimes where like I scroll on the current eShop on the Switch, and I'm just like, oh god, because after like even if you're going just past like 2 pages or whatever, the console's just like, oh no, don't do it, I'm done, don't make me scroll anymore.
Yeah, after 2 scrolls, I just give up because it's way too late.
Yeah, the UI just can't keep up with whatever the problem is as far as it lagging as slow as it does. And moving forward on the Switch 2, I really, really, really hope that's something that they fix as far as the lag issues and just a better service connection in general, so that stuff doesn't chug and get to a point where disconnects happen for folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. Heck, even just give us some nice music to play in the background as well on the Switch Tweet Shop and really the console in general. Even just a little bit of personality. Doesn't have to be like anything fancy, but come on, just give us something.
Like the Wii U 3DS eShops had some pretty catchy tunes. The Switch eShop, nothing.
Yeah.
Zilch.
Yeah.
It's like we went backwards.
I know. So yeah, hopefully that's something that's fixed on the Switch too. Alright, so something else I wanted to get into as well, and this is obviously something I'm sure we'll also figure out more to come on for now too, but like what other kind of games do you think will be coming to the Switch too, and like what other titles you expect to see this year? Because obviously I think there's a few obvious ones like Metroid Prime 4 for example, but I almost also kind of anticipating stuff like a new 3D Mario game and stuff of that nature. I definitely think that those are going to be some pretty hot titles that come out this year, and definitely ones we can look forward to at this coming direct. But as far as other titles, who really knows? But either way, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Nintendo will offer in a couple months in that regard in terms of like other new games.
Yeah, like in Metroid Prime 4's case, I can see that as a similar situation to Breath of the Wild 8 years ago, where they released it simultaneously on Switch 1 and Switch 2.
Yeah, I can definitely see something like that happening.
I think that would happen too, personally, just given the time frame that's involved here.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, as far as other games that might potentially release, I feel like most of mine are more or less like a combination of wish lists and just like very early blind predictions, because I'm sure I speak for everyone here too, but we just have so little that's been provided through the teaser other than Mario Kart, so it really is hard to just kind of forecast what might be planned. Other than the only other thing I can think of though, outside of like first party games, would be like what was showcased before on the prior direct with upcoming like third party titles and indie games that were being released for the Switch. Just some of I just remember offhand just a few of the titles too, and even JRPGs and things like that. But as far as first party, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what to expect. I don't think a new Zelda's happening right away, because that takes precious time.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 3 to 4 years in his lifespan for a new Zelda game.
No, I suppose they could potentially do like an HD remaster to kind of tie it over, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, and even if like
What would they remaster though?
yeah, and even if like a new Smash gets out or something like that, I don't think we'd be seeing like a new Smash until like 2026, like the very earliest.
Yeah, not unless the April Direct just kind of like shadow drops. Bam, surprise! This is what you'd expect, day one,
Yeah, for sure. Or if they just want to, or if they have like some secret like secret banger game in development that they just don't want to reveal until April, that they're all trying to keep us in suspense about. But it definitely would be pretty cool regardless.
Yeah, but one thing that we all
Yes, Mikey?
Everything they announced what do you got on your app? You got anything in your app for title time?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and quickly I'll go ahead and check in a little bit.
How long are you doing this?
Was that just like another 20 30 minutes or so?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll wait.
like whatever release date they give for like Mario Kart 9, Metroid, or whatever, will likely also be the same release date for the actual system.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. But definitely for sure, in terms of like new games, I'm definitely thinking that probably like Mario Kart and Metroid Prime are definitely for sure going to be with the big hitters for the Switch 2 at launch. And who knows, maybe some kind of like some surprise mystery game too.
Or even a new IP would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, that is true. Because remember, when the Switch 1 came out, they had ARMS as one of the launch titles, and that was a brand new IP at the time.
Yeah, and with
Yeah, what
the
happened?
Splatoon, was pretty hot. So
Yeah,
we could
Splatoon is actually become one of Nintendo's more popular franchises ever since they first introduced that 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is pretty insane just like how fast it grew and stuff. But definitely for sure, from what I have seen the gameplay, like even though I don't own Splatoon myself, I can definitely see the appeal of it for sure. But yeah, I can also see like some kind of Wii Sports or like Nintendo Land sort of game too, because Nintendo really does love to debut their systems with like some kind of like like some kind of like new like tech demo thing to like kind of show us like what the console is capable of and stuff. And so I wouldn't be surprised if like the Switch 2 launches of a game like that's kind of like similar to that.
Yeah, like a console's feature showcase kind of game, basically.
Yeah. Now, what that would be called exactly, I don't know, but it still would be interesting to find out regardless. And I guess for like one final like major topic we can discuss before we just kind of discuss our I guess like general like overall thoughts on everything. It's just it's kind of like miscellaneous stuff. So obviously we kind of already touched on this a little bit already, but like what do you think the price of the console will be like when it comes out or something like that? I'm thinking it's probably going to be if I had to guess, probably like at a bare minimum $350. Although more realistically, I think it's probably going to be something like $400 if I'm being honest.
Yeah, $400 sounds about right. Now, obviously, this is 400 US dollars we're talking about here, just to clarify.
Yep, $400 US.
Yeah, because up here in Canada, it's probably going to be like maybe 500.
Yep.
I mean, I can see 500, but I feel like they probably won't go over 450 at the most.
Yeah.
I most probably be 400.
Yeah, well, when I said 500, I was referring to 500 Canadian dollars.
Oh, Canadian, yeah, there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and historically, I mean, Nintendo's tend to stuck with the lower end of the price range when it comes to like other competitors too. But I think there was I don't know if it was a leak or what it was that I had seen, but apparently there was something that was discussed before about like a translation of like price point as far as what it could potentially be. And I think it was being parked based on like a translation into between $400 and $450 from what I understand, US dollars. And that would actually make sense, like going from the Switch to the Switch 2 and knowing that there's power increased capabilities. I do feel like that's kind of a realistic range to expect, which I'd be fine with knowing that.
Yeah, well, like, I think the 450 that you may have heard for a rumor would have been for like a bundled version, but like with Mario Kart or whatever. But then that would mean that the price for Mario Kart 9 would essentially be $50 US. It's not going to be $50 US. Like,
yeah, no,
watching it on a brand new console, that's going to be 70 USD.
Yeah, I was gonna say $50 for a new game in the year 2025. Unfortunately, as much as I had to admit it, that's kind of nothing more than a pipe dream.
Yeah.
But definitely for sure, I do think $400 to $450 is a realistic price. And personally, for me, like when the console comes out, I don't know if I'm gonna get it like straight away, just because the fact that I'm probably gonna be busy at working some jobs at the time, and also because I kind of want to see like what kind of games come out for it and stuff over the year. But I definitely do. I'm going to try to get to get the console by like the end of the year for sure. And also just the fact too that usually with launch systems, you usually do have like a various set of like bugs and glitches that go along with it as well.
Yeah, that's what they call beta testers. People buy it on launch day. So I'd rather wait to get all the kinks out first before I actually put the money down for it, because we got things to worry about. A lot of people these days don't have a lot of money to spend on video games anymore. With school, work, family, you gotta make sure we put down work.
Yep. So definitely for sure, at least when it comes to me, I definitely do want to wait until they iron out like all the issues with it before, or at least like most of the big ones before I get my hands on it myself.
I know when the Switch launched, certain areas, like my area, there was a real shortage on Switches. Like you had to go to like a Toys R Us out in the boondocks just to find one. So hopefully Nintendo will remedy this year.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of
Well,
remember
we'll
that.
see.
I kind of do remember that, actually, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and the Wii in particular was probably some of the hardest shopping times I've ever had with trying to acquire one. Even like over 6 months after launch.
Yeah, well, in the Wii's case, like that came out like around Christmas time that year, so yeah, I could see how it would have been really hard to get one of those at that time.
Yeah, it kind of
I had to wait till like July till I could finally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't get my Wii until July 2011.
Yeah, I got mine. I remember this vividly as well myself. I remember I got mine like way back in Christmas 2007, and like even when the console was out and I was seeing like footage of it and stuff, I remember that I couldn't find it anywhere myself. Like anytime, like I would even ask about it, and like people would say like, do you know where it is and stuff. That I remember they all kind of went like, well, I'm sorry, the Wii is just too new. We don't have it anywhere. Because yeah, it pretty much was sold out pretty much almost everywhere at the time.
Yeah, because even like within the 6 months to a year after its launch, the people who were able to acquire it for the most part were stores who were doing it through like voucher and lottery systems. Because that's actually how I ended up getting it. Was I had went to at the time it was Circuit City when it was still in business before they had filed bankruptcy and closed, but. There was a guy in front of us who was picking up, but it was their last reserve Wii, and then he turned around and said, I know it's a struggle, but you know what? I actually have another voucher for Toys R Us. Here you go. Merry Christmas.
Oh wow, that's actually a really sweet story, though. I gotta admit that actually is a really nice story.
Yeah, from what I remember,
I ended up acquiring it.
Yeah, from what I remember, when I got my Wii, that was roughly a week before my 24th birthday. So this is July 2011 that I'm referring to here. And I believe it was right before they discontinued the backwards compatibility support with GameCube titles.
I think you would be correct about that, because if I remember correctly, I think the Wii Family Edition like launched around the holidays that same year.
Yeah, the Wii had GameCube backwards compatibility for a couple of years after its launch. It was about a midway point where they discontinued it, though.
Yeah, and that's also kind of why I like why the original Wii's are kind of like some valuable items to like people who care about that care about GameCube backwards compatibility and stuff. But either way, who knows what the availability of the Switch 2 will be like. I definitely imagine it probably will be hard to find in a few places for at least a couple months after its launch. And I'm sure that just like with the Switch and even the Wii U, for example, I'm sure we probably will hear some reports of like like some bugs and glitches with the console when it first releases.
But I think one big advantage that Nintendo has with launching this system is that they're not launching it during a pandemic.
Yeah, that is true as well. It's gonna.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's gonna be another thing to their advantage as well, is that they won't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, I just hope we won't be at the mercy of another lottery system over this system. for anyone else who's trying to get it at launch. As for me, I haven't settled on if I want to get it at launch. I tend to wait until, kind of like what some of you had said, it just depends on like if the bugs are serious, like if they're really bad, or mostly in my case, I tend to wait out for at least a couple select few games. It might even hold out as long as waiting until a new Zelda comes out for me, but it's going to vary. As far as getting it at launch, though, I feel like it's unlikely like day one for me, but I mean, stranger things have happened, I guess, too, but just my initial prediction for myself, I think I will be holding out, because I do kind of like to sit back and see, okay, how's this going to unfold?
Yeah, same here. I always do like to wait until there's at least like I'd say like probably like like 4 or 5 like really great games we're playing before I end up like buying a console.
Something I might do is potentially get I might at least buy like 1 or 2 games like to prep for getting the console. I may end up doing that because I already know I'm going to be putting forward to that commitment. or potentially maybe even getting like an additional controller. I mean, that might be something I may end up doing.
I mean, yeah, that'd be a good idea. It never hurts to come prepared for these sort of things.
And it's also good just to kind of budget it out that way too. That way you're not trying to dump everything all at once simultaneously.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, speaking of about the glitches part, for the trailer, that Nintendo actually addressed the biggest issue with the issues of the Nintendo Switch with the Joy-Con drift.
Oh my!
The special coating to have around the control sticks.
Oh my God! Yes, I remember seeing that and I was so freaking psyched.
Yeah, same.
Because like I said earlier, that was one of my biggest issues too, was the fact that, you know what, and I think pretty much the issue for basically every Switch owner known to man, you know, the fact that, you know, the Joy-Con just had that seemingly just freaking inevitable problem of Joy-Con drift, and it was just so annoying. So I'm definitely glad that that Nintendo has finally seemingly fixed that issue, and that the new controllers won't have that problem with the Hall effects seemingly confirmed.
Yeah, an issue that for the longest time Nintendo was like, Joy-Con drift? Oh, what's that? We don't know anything about that.
Yep. Which, of course, was a load of bullshit, but they had to, you know, pretend it wasn't a big deal because they knew that, you know, admitting it would be costly for them. But sure enough, they had to do so anyway.
They tend to be pretty firm about their image and PR, I feel, and that's probably just why they kind of denied, like, facing up to it, for a while.
Yep.
They probably had to do that.
It got to a point where you can't hide it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when they were getting so many controllers sent back.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm definitely glad that seems like the new Joy-Cons won't have that problem.
And speaking of the new Joy-Cons, something else I kind of wanted to point out too is just seeing how they snap in versus sliding in to the console itself. So
Yes, I am worried. I'm actually a little bit worried about that because I don't know how sturdy the little connector is. Will it break easily? Will it many repeats of snapping it back on and off? Connection fade?
Well, there's no excuse for that to be still happening given how much time they've had with the initial Switch. Like, this is something that they should definitely have tested and ironed out by now.
Yeah, for sure. We can only hope that Nintendo has pretty much nailed like the execution in that regard by now. And I'm sure they'll probably reveal us more details too in a couple of months from now. And I know I've said this on this particular podcast episode, but I'm sure they'll reveal that a lot more in the next couple of months from now when they actually like fully reveal the console. But I can definitely imagine that you know, the controllers hopefully should at least be pretty sturdy, and that you know, the way to remove them and stuff like won't just be like super flimsy. But I am glad, like you said, Tony, that that they do the snap in now, and that you don't do that stupid freaking rail thing.
Yeah, and I guess is it confirmed if they're magnetic? Do we know that for sure?
I think a couple sources have said they're magnetic, and I believe they are, but I don't know if it's been 100% confirmed yet.
Yeah, I still think it's an interesting aspect, regardless if it's going to be magnetic or not. I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do think it is quite interesting, for sure. And also, like I mentioned much earlier on, the fact that it looks like we can use these Joy-Cons kind of like as mouses, I think will be pretty cool too. Will certainly make certain shooting is a lot more fun to play as well.
Yeah, because I have to admit, like, just kind of speaking from gameplay experience here, like when it comes to like a Zelda game, for example, I actually do like the motion point and click with like using the bow or items like that. That is something I do personally like, and it feels like, I don't want to say quite natural, but I guess in a way it is. But it feels more intuitive, and like I find a desire to want to do it that way.
Oh yeah, I 100%.
As opposed to, but for the most part, I mean, I tend to play traditional controls, but when it comes to something like that, and also just the fact that these Joy-Con sizes are bigger, that is pushing me more to being open to trying out the Joy-Cons now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's another thing I kind of wanted to mention earlier, but just never really got to, was the fact that because of like how big the Joy-Cons are now, and because of the fact that it does look like they fixed the drift issue in general, I can definitely see myself using the Switch 2 portably a lot more than I did the original Switch. It probably still won't be like my main method of play. Like, I still think I'm mostly going to be using the console from the TV, but I can definitely see myself for sure taking the Switch 2 a lot more on like road trips and even like plane rides and stuff than I did the Switch 1 just because of how much bigger and beefier the Joy Cons are.
Absolutely, I kind of in the same boat here.
All right. Well, I think that's basically going to be it for this particular episode. I hope you all enjoyed watching it. But I got to sum things up. I definitely am really excited for the Switch 2 for sure. And this initial reveal trailer, even though it was like very simple and basic, it still definitely did its job and was definitely enough that made me just really hyped about the thing in general. And for sure, after like 8 years of the original Switch, and the fact that this new console is like very similar, I am kind of glad they went with a just stick with what works style approach.
Yeah, I do have one final thought though. How will Nintendo trade this from the Switch 1? Because we can tell the difference, but from like a casual Timmy asking his mommy, take a one glance at it and say, what's the difference between this one and the Switch 2? At first glance, it doesn't look that much different from the Switch 1. So I want to see how Nintendo persuades the casual people, hey, this is different for this reason why.
I still kind of am going to defer to what we talked about earlier. Like, I personally don't think the 2 is going to be confusing even casual buyers. Definitely nothing like Wii U did, because people identify 2 more so as being like, this is the upgraded or sequel or like newer, better version of something. So like just the fact that it has that in the title of the console is going to help that case.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that you're going to get confused with it. I'm saying that how do they see even worth buying though? They know it's a second version of it, but they don't see like, hey, is it almost the same as the normal Switch? Why do I waste money buying a new one for?
Well, I'm sure they'll show like the new games and stuff, and they'll be convinced like the about the graphical capabilities and stuff. I think it'll ultimately depend on like what Nintendo shows and like their really big showcase of the console, like what they're actually showing is coming out for it and stuff. Because obviously, I'm sure Nintendo's not gonna just want to show like generic just basic games that aren't worth buying the console for.
I mean, I could be wrong about this too, but I can't imagine there's going to be like too big of a like carryover window from Switch 1 to 2 where like too much more stuff is going to still be remaining around for Switch 1 after the Switch 2 launches. Again, I don't know the exact time frame or what's going to happen. I don't have the crystal ball on that. Nobody does, but I just feel like that transition is going to kind of naturally happen, and like as Switch 1 stuff in general phases out, that's going to, I think, pretty much dissipate that that problem that could potentially come up, as mentioned.
Yeah, well, it also helps too that with the Switch 2, they've already kind of started advertising the fact that it's like really a whole new console, not just the controller. Because if you remember like the early Wii U commercials, and I know that Scott the Woz, shout out to him by the way with his new video on Scott Stash, he even pointed this out too. Like a lot of Nintendo's like early commercials with the Wii U, they were mostly just talking about like only the controller and that's it. They weren't like talking much about it being like an actual new console. They were just showing like, things that the gamepad could do and stuff. And that's I think also a great part of the confusion too is the fact they were mostly focusing only on the gamepad. That's kind of what made some people think, is this like an actual like new thing to have to buy, or is this just like another accessory for my Wii? Because they were just talking constantly about the controller.
I mean, like another thing too, like look at the PlayStation's case, like continually adding a new number for each like successor. I mean, hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, another thing that I'm kind of curious about is like, I have a feeling like friends lists are going to carry over from Switch 1 to Switch 2, but how they're going to go about that remains to be seen. Like, I would say like instead of friend codes, maybe by username.
Oh God.
Because that's what Microsoft and PlayStation have always done. The problem, though, is that if you're trying to find, like, one particular person, like your best friend or whatever, there could be, like, a whole crap ton of people with similar usernames, and that kind of makes it difficult to find which one is the real person you're looking for.
Yeah, honestly, personally, I really do hope they go back to usernames, or at least, like, some kind of, like, unique identifier to make it easier to find people on the new console that, whatever it is, friend codes, because That is definitely one of the very few things I think the Wii U overall did better than the Switch, was just the fact that you had like such a very nice and simple system for finding friends, and we kind of went backwards on the Switch with it going back to friend code. So hopefully they go back.
Yes.
So hopefully they go back to actually, using it for a new console.
Yeah, because friend codes, like with just a bunch of random letters and numbers, is just so archaic and unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's even sadder? That the Wii did Virtual Console better than the Switch. Better selection on the Wii for the Virtual Console.
Yeah.
When it comes like the Donkey Kong Country games and stuff, they actually had it immediately. The Switch I don't hate when they drag out releases. Like, it's good to keep updating it, but we have like one game per month or 2 months. It's like really uncalled for. Yeah, especially like it's an NES game. They're hard to import.
My big problem is just the fact that you don't like actually own the games, and that technically they can take them away from you at any time. I definitely think it's honestly kind of a cool concept, but the fact that you don't own the games definitely is a problem.
Yeah, that's very understandable. And I guess one other thought that popped in my head, I know we're dragging off a little bit more past what we thought we might be ending off with, but I am kind of curious if Switch 2 might possibly introduce an achievement system finally, like achievements or trophies or something of that capacity. It'd be cool to see.
Yeah, I would love.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo traditionally hasn't really had that. Although some of the recent Switch 1 games have kind of actually started going in that direction. I mean, look at Jamboree, for example.
Yeah, like internally within the games themselves, they have achievement systems.
Yeah.
But as far as something that's like on your like online account with the console, that would be kind of cool to see that implemented.
Yeah.
Yeah, an achievement system definitely would be pretty cool for sure. Definitely like a nice way to incentivize people to go for certain tasks in games for sure.
Yeah, and it gives like it's good incentive to like players will see that and be like, oh, that'd be cool to kind of like have that to flex with, because it's like you see it and it kind of gives you that like good positive like feeling of accomplishment when you do that kind of stuff. And let's face it, like when it comes to Nintendo, just having that opportunity window there to do it, like granted, achievements and trophies are the things that are used by the other consoles and platforms, but they could choose from so many of their own IP items, like from stars or mushrooms or anything like that could be used to represent like a point system for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome.
That would just be really cool to see something like that implemented. So that's kind of more of a wish list thing of mine.
Yeah, you never know though. Nintendo is unpredictable, so it's possible that something like that could be coming.
So, but yeah, it'd just be something fun to see, I think.
Yep. But all right, I think that's going to do it for this first episode, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all to Toady, Astro, and Mark for being on here. This is definitely a really great, I think, first start to the podcast, and I'll see you guys all next month for episode number 2 when we talk about most likely the February direct for Switch 1 games when that happens. So yeah, take care for now, guys.
Yeah, bye, everyone. Awesome discussion, everyone.
Yeah,
take care.